Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eternal Backlog Podcast, episode 18. It's a brand new year, 2025, and I'm here with Shady Armik. We've obviously had a lovely long break, and we're back in the saddle for what should be another interesting year for gaming. We've already had two kind of interesting events prior to this recording. How's it been going?
Oh, it's been a heck of a season, hasn't it?
It has indeed. Do you know, I thought I was going to play loads of games over Christmas. I thought, I've got all this time in my hands. Bearing in mind I was off from like the 15th of December as well. It just never really culminated as much. It's not like I sat down and went in deep into something, you know?
I know what you mean. I started off good.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the games we've gotten through or started playing in a moment, but it started off well. Yeah. Something happened after Christmas Day that just kind of said, oh, I'm back at work in a few days, and it's just kind of that pseudo-depression set in again. It's like, oh, yeah. 2 weeks isn't long enough, is it?
It's not. It definitely isn't. And now the weekends feel like they're going way too quick. And I'm going to enjoy this podcast tonight because I'm going to have to do some work at the weekend. So it's the way it works, but life. It is what it is. I've got to ask you, obviously you've got one thing that happened technically after Christmas. We thought that perhaps one of your presents this year from Father Christmas might have been something that you ended up getting in January, but not for your own, it happened for a reason. We'll go into that.
Yeah.
Anything culminate from the Christmas side of things that related to video games in any degree?
No. I think the missus has worked out that it's one of those things that I need to buy because I'm super particular about technology and games and stuff like that. And I think she's a little scared of buying me the wrong thing, so
right.
She'll tend to. Although she did buy me an iPad a few years ago and she got it right, so I'm just imagining it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, that clears that one up really quick. Well, there we go. 100 subscribers, we hit it just before record today. Fantastic news. And guys, go and check out some of the new content that has been available on the channel at the start of this year, because there's a couple of decent videos worth a look. We did our Xbox Direct January reaction literally last night. That's available for you guys to check out. There's also, if you're really interested in perhaps playing Xbox in a different way, I bring you a tutorial on how to play Xbox inside VR chat. If you really want to play Xbox in a real unique way that I'm sure less than 1% of people probably want to, but you never know. Yeah, it's an Xbox. VR chat is an Xbox now. But anyway, so all of that goodness. I gave you my little ramble about the Switch 2, but we're going to go into that today. I just couldn't wait long enough. I had to have an opinion on it. It felt wrong to wait all the way to today to recording to at least comment on it slightly. But so I'll be tilting more towards your thoughts in our discussion when we come to the Switch 2 side of things. So I guess we should start off where we love to start off. It's the obligatory play stack. And there is a bit more than I guess on an average usual week. So settle in, grab your popcorn, cup of tea, or whatever your favourite drink is. We're drinking a little bit of energy drink and a spirit right now. Obviously, you're probably on a coffee, if anything, at the moment.
I'm on the Pepsi. I'm still, still daytime over here.
You're on the Pepsi. So, who wants to start off? Do you want to go?
Let's get the big ones out of the way. So when we last left off in episode 17, I was knee deep in Indiana Jones. I have finished it. I've 100%ed it. Got all the collectibles, unlocked all the areas, all the upgrades and moves and all the good stuff. And wow, what a game! What a game! Yeah. It definitely lived up to the hype. Lived up to the hype. Don't want to start off on a bad note, but some of those collectibles do have a couple of bugs surrounding them, like it gives you the wrong place on the map to find them.
Oh, does it?
But it doesn't kind of indicate that it's underground or above ground, or because underground is like an entirely new level / map.
Yeah.
But, so you go to the wrong map, and I'm just going in circles looking for these things. But anyway, so Indiana Jones, fantastic storytelling first and foremost. Visuals are beautiful.
You came on a long way since the last time we talked about it. Obviously, the whip mechanic. We talked about the fact that you have a limited ammo in your gun, and it tries to get you to not engage in combat the way, at least early on.
Yeah.
What else new did it introduce to you past maybe like the 5-hour mark?
Well, so last time we spoke about it, I think I was on 2 to 3 hours or maybe 4 hours of gameplay. Since then, what you'll learn is that you're really implored to explore and pick up disguises, which I hadn't bumped into in the last playthrough or the last episode.
Yeah.
So, for example, you'll be on where is it? The Vatican level, the Vatican City, I think it is. And when you're walking around in Indiana clothing and Indiana Jones clothing, you'll get spotted by the guards. There's certain areas you can't access, even if you do manage to find a hole in the fence and sneak in. Every turn you're going to get spotted, and you're going to get a lot of physical. You're going to have to do a lot of physical work to get yourself out of those situations. However, especially in the Vatican level, if you come across a priest outfit that's just conveniently lying in one of the rooms, and you put that on, all of a sudden everyone starts to treat you with a little bit more respect. The guards they'll still kind of usher you out of certain areas, but they won't attack you on sight.
Right.
And then you'll find a guard's uniform later on in the level. And once you get that guard's uniform, it's just all access everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. So going back for those collectibles, once you've got those key cards and those outfits, and this goes for all of the general main areas, becomes a real joy to see that, oh, wow, there's a whole area over this side of the map that I never explored, that never got uncovered, and I had no clue that you could go in this thing and this area, this door, whatever. So, like I said, storytelling was amazing. It really does take you on a journey. I'm trying to think if it's very surface level stuff. There are some tombs that you go raiding, no pun intended.
Yeah.
They're just visually beautiful, but not like, wow, my mind is blown, if that makes sense. They're somewhat linear.
They're not like copy pasta Halo Infinite.
No.
Long walls and tunnels and stuff.
No, they do a good job in making you kind of forget that you're in a sandbox, which is always a thing that I kind of look out for in an open world game, especially. So once I was in those tombs, I really did lose sense of placement, and it didn't just feel like, well, I know I walked in from that way, so the obvious exit's got to be in the opposite direction, So it does do a good job of making you crawl under little gaps and swim underwater and jump onto a ledge that you might not have seen in your first run through. But then you'll go back there later in a game because you've got an item that might open another door that you've completely forgotten about. And you realize, oh, actually, that thing that I needed or that clue that I needed was back there.
Yeah.
At first, the journal does seem a bit overwhelming. You get a lot of stuff in that journal, your clues, your notes, your photographs, your missions and all that stuff. Once you spend a bit of time with it, though, it's actually pretty good the way they've organized it. Because you've obviously got your main storyline mission, but you've also got your side missions, and then you've got your photographs and collectibles and stuff like that. But they're all tied together, so you may come across a note in one level or a key in one level, and you've never quite figured out what it's for or what to use it with. But later on in the game, you'll find a note, and again, that note doesn't quite make sense. It just so happens that if you go back into the journal, you'll notice that note is grouped up with that key that you found way earlier on in the game. So now you're like, okay, this clue spans multiple levels. So now you're trying to actually piece this thing together. Right. And like I said in the last episode, you'll come across a note that vaguely describes a certain statue, and you're like, okay, well, that type of statue is only in the Egyptian level. So let me go back to Egypt. Okay, there's two statues it could be, the left one and the right one. So now you're at the base of the statue looking for this description, what the note describes. Yeah. So it really does make you go out of your way to try and think about solving these clues and stuff. And that's what I really appreciate. It's not just suddenly there's a pin on the map that suddenly appears that now does something. This stuff was under your nose the entire time, but it was disguised in such a way that you're thinking this has to be something, but you don't quite figure it out because you haven't gotten there yet, or you haven't got the clue to kind of understand that, well, you can't approach it directly. You've got to do something else somewhere else first, then come back to it, and this little panel opens, So there's a lot of that going on. And I really enjoyed that. The puzzle solving was top-notch, 10 out of 10. Story was great. If you just beeline it, main campaign, it's a good lengthy campaign, probably just the right amount.
Yeah.
Even for a completionist, just besides the little bugs with some of those collectibles, counting and finding those collectibles, it was an absolute joy to kind of discover the whole world of Indiana Jones. And to some degree, I'm actually a little bit upset that it's over now. I'm hoping that Machine Games are working on some good chunky DLC because it definitely deserves it.
Yeah. So when these things that you're finding and you're going back between levels, what happens when you clear the level out? Do you have to kind of replay that mission but just focus on this thing that you've now uncovered, or?
No, it's completely open world, those areas.
Oh, right, okay.
So you'll get a loading screen in the form of, a plane flying over the globe. You're back in Egypt, for example. And then all of a sudden there's a new character that might have spawned since the last time you visited.
Right.
So
okay.
you'll go and hand a mission in, and it's like, oh, thanks for handing this in. By the way, there's some guy up in the market who's asking for you. You may want to go speak to him. And well, at least I know I've cleared that market through and through, but now there's this dodgy character in a white suit there with a fedora, and so now you're like, hang on a second, what's this about? And he's like, oh, I'm looking for such and such artifact, or have you seen my son or my student or something? So now you're like, hang on a second, I've got new missions in an old area that I didn't have to come back to.
Yeah.
So it's just prolonging the life of it, but not in a monotonous, repetitive way. It's really giving you a new lease on using the space of that world or that map to its fullest extent. And Egypt's a great example. You've got underground tombs. There's a point where you go into sort of the, I forgot the name of it. It's sort of like, I'm going to get killed in the comments for this. It's like Indonesia or the Amazon rainforest, something like that. It's all trees, and you can't even walk in that level. You've got to get on a canoe with a motorized engine. So you're canoeing through these little Amsterdam-like canals to get to the next island, and there's like 12 of them. So they've really done a lot to make each area super unique. I mean, the Vatican's all about mystery, and there's hidden doors in the Vatican, and there's rooms up there where there's a dungeon, and you push a brick in the wall and it opens up something, and Egypt's underground tombs, relics and things like that. And then you go to this Amazon level, and there's like hidden forts or old structures where there was old tribes that used to worship certain gods, but there's some weirdnesses going on. I really, really highly, encourage you to try and get through that game. You'll be pleasantly surprised with the level of detail in it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, that sounds good. It sounds like it opens up at some point. I obviously didn't get to the part where it opened up because it felt very linear in those opening sections.
Yeah, it doesn't do I mean, that first, I suppose, tutorial mission where you're in the jungle, it really gave me that same impression as well. Like, oh god, this is going to be a very start here and there kind of on rails experience. You get a bit more freedom when you go into that second area, but even then it's very linear in the sense that you just got to bypass the guards to get to the exit. But once you're into that third area, that's where the game really opens up. You're in Vatican City, and there we go, it's telling you to go and play Indiana Jones.
No, it's not. I just had a bloody phone call. Hang on, let me just pop myself into airplane mode. That was my mum and dad.
There you go.
Who were calling from a cruise ship in the middle of the Atlantic Sea.
There you go. They're living Indiana Jones right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I won't dwell on it too long. But once you get to that Vatican level, you really it opens up. It's a completely different animal. Completely, definitely go back to it. At least get to the Vatican and put an hour or two into it, and you'll see what I mean. Highly recommend it. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. What else is on your list then? Because you've dipped back into Spider-Man territory. I was interested with Spider-Man 2 because I thought you were done with this game a long time ago, unless I'm getting confused with another Spider-Man.
Did the remaster, the first one.
Ah, okay.
Because I completely missed the PS4. Both had one, didn't really play too many games on it, but never really got to play some of the big hitters. But obviously they remastered Spider-Man for PS5, went through that. Fantastic game, fantastic, but was burnt out. Enough time had passed, about a year or so, and I thought, you know what, let me knock out Miles Morales. It's been a while since I got my teeth stuck into a PS5 game. And you can definitely see the technology's better in that, the reflections, the effects, everything. I'm like, okay. But it's a very short experience. It's about sort of 5-6 hours, I want to say. Very short, but it did tickle me enough to say, you know what? And leading into one of our future stories about a PS5 Pro, I was like, it's something to kind of, showcase the console to me and, show me what this thing's capable of, if it's doing anything at all. So I got Spider-Man 2, and that itself is another animal. My God, I mean, Miles Morales and the first Spider-Man are very much the same in terms of structure and the way everything kind of works. Spider-Man 2, the way it starts off, it's just havoc. You got Sandman, who's like this giant enemy taking over the city. There's sand everywhere, and then all of a sudden, it's everything you know about the first game, it's kind of out the window. Now I've got to rethink. Hang on a second. I mastered combat in the first game.
Yeah.
I can't exactly do that anymore. This is a new way of fighting this giant enemy. You didn't have giant enemies.
Yeah,
So now I'm web swinging through the damn air, and I'm fighting this thing without touching the ground at all. So it's really awesome, and I'm probably about an hour and a half into it. So I've only just scratched the surface. But my God, this is a beautiful game. Really gorgeous looking. Yeah.
Well, we'll circle back around that for a bit more detail in a future episode. Your drum arrived for you.
Finally.
This thing, I can't believe how long. This must be the 4th episode we've talked about this drum.
Yeah.
And it's been in shipping for months.
I want to say I ordered it early November.
Yeah.
Amazon promised a December 9th delivery date. Never arrived.
Yeah.
Said sod it, I cancelled it and I had a voucher assigned to it. I said I'll spend that on something else. Then one day last week I was like, you know what, let me see if this damn thing's in stock again. Because the missus is always playing that game.
Yeah.
Well, at least let me get it for her, it'd be fun. Had it in stock. All right, let's give this a whirl, and it arrived. So there you go. Finally got the Taiko no Tatsujin drum.
Have you got to use the drum before you even had a chance to use the drum?
You used the arcade version, yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It definitely adds another element to the game, let's put it there. It's not, I thought it'd be a bit more accurate because it's wired and it's the actual drum and I can hit notes faster than a single thumb pushing buttons. It cures one problem, it solves one problem while introducing others because now the drum's slipping on the table, the grips aren't grippy enough.
Oh,
and there's certain parts of the drum, it doesn't register when you hit it. It's like maybe just the center part of the drum. And so there's that, but I mean, it's a plastic toy drum, so it does what it's supposed to, I suppose.
Indeed. Yes. And then Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Which is, I think...
It's my in-between game, isn't it?
It's just the only game that's keeping you on the Xbox platform at the moment.
Yeah, because I paid for it, that's why. You know what the worst thing is? I actually already had it on PS5. But at the time, I wanted it on Xbox, and I hadn't quite made the jump yet, but we'll talk about that. Death Stranding's great, still going on.
Yeah.
The deliveries are getting longer. I'm traipsing across the map with more challenges. Just unlocked the bike, so that's added a new element to traversing the map. I've never thought so much about how I'm going to get from point A to point B on a world map before. It's interesting because, Far Cry, Grand Theft Auto, you walk, hop in a car, or fast travel, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that in this game. It's like, I've got 3 packages that need delivering to this location. While I'm going in that direction, there's another one that's due in this location. So let me knock that one out the way, then walk that to my originally intended destination. Yeah. Then you get little rocks and rivers, and you can't just walk across it. You're like, hang on a second, is the weight going to shift and I'll fall in the river and damage the cargo? And it's really makes you think. And there's no way you can describe this game and make it sound cool. Because it's a package delivery game at its core. There's nothing I can say that makes it sound amazing or cool. It's just one of these weird Kojima experiences. You have to play and then you'll get it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I shout on this game day one when it got announced. I was like, what, you're delivering packages with a random baby on your chest?
Yeah.
Once you find out what it's all about, it's actually an amazing game. It's really bloody good.
You should give that really... There's a game called Mud Runners, and it's had a few in the series where you kind of got to navigate cars, but you've got to get the toes out and got, like what do you call them? You wrap them around a tree and you have to help. Yeah. All sorts of things like that. It's. I'd imagine that's like a car form of what you're going through in Death Stranding in a way.
You know what? Actually, another really weird analogy, another way to explain how you think about moving is I am bread.
Right.
Left leg, right leg, top corner, bottom corner. It literally is, you hold the stick in the direction to walk, but depending on the weight of the load you're carrying, if you make a sudden turn to the right too fast, all of a sudden the weight shifts and you're wobbling, so you've got to hit the trigger to rebalance yourself.
Oh, gosh.
God help you if someone spots you, because remember, you've got enemies in that world as well who are other cargo carriers, but they're a little bit on the evil side for some reason. They want to kill you and steal your packages. Right. Like I said, there's nothing I can do to explain this
postman
game.
From the Royal Mail. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The UPS driver's gone wild, So, it's a weird one, but something about it that's really addictive. Delivering those packages, baby.
Yeah. I might have to give that one a blast because I'm an enjoyer of Euro Truck Simulator and things like that. So I imagine it will
But it starts
kind
off,
of in this.
it does start off at a pace that it's not overwhelming. The menu system is a little bit, whoa, this is a bit much, but it all makes sense and it's all necessary. It's not just like, a bunch of stuff that you'll never use. Like, you will use it. But it's one of those games, because I'm not playing it in bulk, I'm coming back to it every so often. I have to relearn everything again. So I've got to put everything aside and focus on this game. Because once you're into it, you're into it. The story is amazing. Cutscenes are incredible. Yeah. Great story. I'm actually looking forward to the second one, and I'm only. Well,
does the second one make a hell of a lot more sense now? Because the average person who's not played the original Death Stranding would have no idea what this game, the feel of what you're actually going into, because it presents itself as being something very different to how they unveiled number 2.
It doesn't. Yeah, the second one's all story driven. The first one is, I'm in this derelict land. There's weird things called Death Stranding monsters. Got a baby strapped to my chest. By the way, I carry packages. Like, none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the second one probably does a better job of explaining the story. But
do you come out of some random cave at some point?
A cave?
Like a cave right near like some water, or like somewhere at the beginning or the start of the game. Because I visited this world in the chat that someone built based on the game.
I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think you can build caves. You can build like structures, like if you wanted to build a post box, because you can find packages and be like, you just don't want to deliver them because it's just an annoyance. You'll deposit them in the post box, and then other players who play their version of Death Stranding can pick them up. So you'll never see another person in your game, but you'll see remnants of those people in your world, if that makes sense. So they can drop a structure like a bridge or a post box, or they'll donate a package to you, and you'll pick it up, and it'll tell you their gamer tag and everything. But you'll never see them like in real time. So it's like, someone was here, but it's got that very isolationist feel to the game as well.
Nice.
If you're going to get into that, you got to put a good 2 to 4 hours into it before you really
understand it. Get grabbed by it. Yeah.
But the open cinematic is on its own. It's worth its weight in gold.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I played some interesting new ones on the selection, and I'll quickly go across Astro Bot. I finally beat the Chameleon boss.
Yes.
Which obviously opened up a new array of levels. No, I've got to defeat the current boss of this fourth wave of
the fourth
the planet, and then I think it unlocks after that. So I'm currently on that boss, and then I can get the speedrun levels after that. But
that last level's amazing.
Yeah.
The final boss, it's amazing. You'll love it.
I'll have to see what it'd be interesting to know when I do complete this game.
Astro Bot 2.
I'm trying to think some of the new worlds that it unlocked for me from memory. After that Chameleon boss, what you actually get escapes me right now, to be honest with you. But as you know, I preferred the going around and find the levels where you can just find all the different Astrobots is what I prefer.
Yeah.
Than those challenge levels and stuff like that. But
those challenge levels are something.
Yeah, still haven't got past Crumble Rumble 3. It's just driving me mad. So that was a bit of Astro Bot. That was leading up to Christmas. Then I stuck my VR headset on and got really engrossed into Stray, Annapurna's cat game, and I have to say that was really entertaining. From the start until it started introducing the fetch quests. So you'll get to a certain bit of it, and there's fetch quests, and I'm like,
for a cat.
For a cat, you got to find pieces of a satellite to communicate with people above this. So basically, where you are, I don't want to give too much away because I know have you played it? Have you been through it yet? You haven't, have you?
No, I've got it. I haven't started it though.
Yeah, so I won't give too much away, but at one point you've got to collect pieces for a satellite to communicate with certain people, and it just kind of lost me a little bit there. I was really enjoying the way it opened up, and then when you get a game that just does those fetch quests in order to add longevity to the justification for the price point, That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some more good stuff to have, to witness from that game, but it just kind of lost me a bit. I'm sure I'll go back to it at some point, but graphically beautiful. Some real interesting world design in that game. And the fret, there is, whilst you are a cat, there are moments of fret levels. I quite enjoyed where they appear out of nowhere. I'll kind of leave it at that without ruining it for you. Then I played some Wildfrost, so I'm a big fan of games like Balatro and what was the deck building game we both played earlier in the year? Inscription. Yeah, so this is a kind of like a winter themed version of a deck building roguelike game where you build your cards up. You're destined to fail until you keep, replaying. You get a stronger deck. You grind your way through the game, essentially. There's a bit of a story there. I wouldn't say the story is particularly captivating, but I did enjoy the way you can build up your cards in this. And there's a kind of an area where you can really expand out into doing like new research cards. Imagine you've got this multi-story area that, providing you keep grinding gold, you can open up new areas, which then essentially create new cards and customization options and stuff like that. It's on Game Pass at the moment. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, or you're scratching a bit of an itch for a deck building game, it's pretty sturdy. Nice game to look at. Just a great pick up and play. Couple of hours here and there. You can pick that up, for however long you want. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to stay on Game Pass for, though. I'd say most of the time, though, that I spent over the Christmas was rekindling with VR chat on the Oculus Quest. This really was a Christmas for VR for me. Just went real deep back into the Quest 3 headset. And the beautiful thing with VR chat is there's tons of games that have been made inside this as well. So, whether it's something of playing the Tanks game from We Play, someone's recreated it. Someone's recreated Cards Against Humanity, and you imagine the people are there and how much fun that could be. Golf, table, you name it. Someone's made a game, and you'll get a bit of clunkiness because the game's built on a programming language called Udon. So it's called Udon, but that language and code is constantly being developed. So VR chat over the years, its ability to do more and interesting stuff with the physics and new games that you can make inside it is really cool. So I've been kind of world hopping because there's thousands and thousands of different worlds. This is so much better than Meta's Horizon. Their version of the metaverse is just rubbish compared to this. It really is. So in between finding cool little worlds to possibly just chill out and do some, just random chatting, or doing, which I'm now starting to do my day job through whilst in VR chat. Then there's some really cool games, the karaoke rooms, you name it, mate. There's karaoke rooms, there's stand-up comedy arenas, stand-up comedy nights. There's all sorts you can do on this.
Do you actually get
there really is. Yeah, I mean, I can set myself in a specific, so I can set how open I want it to be. So I'll base my work based on the concentration level I want. So I'll go somewhere I can either create a private instance, or I can go into a world that is really nice physically to look at, but nobody really goes in there because it's fallen off like the top list. But you can set, a private instance if you don't want anyone to go in there at all. But sometimes it's nice just to, if the work that you're doing is not too stressful, and you just, random people come in, you have conversations with them, but you can still do your job at the same time. It's a whole new world.
A nice hour of copy and pasting then.
So, that's great. And I'm kind of been building up a big selection of worlds and also recording spaces, because you may have seen on our YouTube channel that some videos have been recorded inside VR chat, including someone faithfully recreated Wii Sports. the world of Wii Sports when I talked about Nintendo and the Switch 2. So I've been building up these little recording spaces. So one of the games that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit is called Lonely Mountain Snow Riders. So I've already recorded the footage from the game, playing it on the cloud, but I've recorded myself inside a ski resort for the background, and it just looks fantastic when you meld the two things together. And you can imagine what you could do if I was to play Resident Evil. You could put yourself in a real messed up, like, horror, dark themed sort of area. I don't know. Just it's a new, different way to present, I guess, games and stuff.
Video games.
Indeed, video games within video games, or metaverse within video games. It's and there's podcast studios. Cool. We'll eventually get you over onto a VR headset.
Ready Player One is definitely coming into full
It's
effect.
coming. Oh, you looking forward to it when it comes?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't want to really live in a container house, but no. The thought of having a headset with everything on, as long as it doesn't replace real life.
Yeah.
But it'd be pretty grim to take off the headset, only to see what
cockroaches on the floor and
what looks like Gaza outside. So.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I spent a bit of time on that. So I did buy a new game, full price, Phasmophobia.
Okay.
And I did enjoy what I played of this. So this was announced during Xbox Live Summer. This has been out for several years on PC, and it's been ported to Xbox. And I'll tell you what, if you want to experience being a ghost hunter, this is the game. And it's down to... So you start the game out with a crew of people. You're obviously communicating in two different ways. There's the intercom where everyone can hear you at all times, or there's proximity chat. Now you've got to figure out what the spirit type is based on what it does. But at the same time, you've also got to make sure you don't get killed by the spirit, which can happen if you either upset it or you get caught alone too much by yourself. And so you've got this book of like clues to pick up on, like deduction. But at the same time, you've got EMF readers, cameras, crosses, all of these different items that you use and set up to try and get this spirit to communicate with you. And you can even talk to it on your mic.
Oh, wow.
And then you go back into the truck and you can look at the security camera for, ghostly activity and all this stuff. It's a great multiplayer game.
This is a
really
VR game?
No, this is standard. You can play it in VR. There is a PC VR version, which I imagine is probably the best. Unfortunately, there isn't a Quest version.
So you actually
I've got it on
headset
Xbox.
on to talk to it through the mic and that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got it on the Quest, and I was playing 4-player, like a ghost hunting team. It's something different. I don't think there's anything too much else out there like it. And
because I've got it on my wish list.
Oh, you have?
But I didn't think it was this. I thought it was going to be your bog standard kind of walking simulator with a little bit of a ghost horror element to it.
No. So every encounter is different. And you have to do that deduction. You could end up in what looks like a standard residential house that's haunted, or somewhere else that's, a little bit different. So the best way to describe it is, the way that you get these procedurally generated multiplayer maps that you found on like Crime Boss. Similar when you go into these situations where you just don't know what ghost has been put in there, but you have to figure it out. And you have to do, all of that detective work. Really good. I'm glad I got it, but it's finding... I've got a few people that I can play it with, but it's finding if you're going to go and buy it, you might want to maybe scope out people to play it with first before you just play it with randoms, because you need people that aren't going to mess around. They have to be able to know how to play it properly. But really good, and I got a good direction on how to play this from one of my friends called Hasmoy. Shout out to Hasmoy. They showed all the ropes of how to play this game, because trust me, there isn't a fully fledged tutorial on how to play this. That's the one thing they left out. So if you've got someone who knows how to play it, great. You'll get into it and you'll start to enjoy it.
That's interesting, considering we were talking about this recently about there being too much hand holding in a game, and so when we remove the hand holding on training wheels, all of a sudden we're like, huh?
Well, I think it's just literally you can find out online, I guess. But
yeah,
it does that deliberately. So down to the last two games. Then I'll be quick on the golf because there's not really much to say about golf. Walkabout mini golf on the Oculus Quest 3. I've been playing that with my nephew. Lovely little mini golf game where you can teleport around the whole course. 18 holes. I think the game comes with about 6 or 7 courses when you buy it. There's on each hole that you play, there's secretly located golf balls that you need to scope out and find, and you can add it to your golf ball collection. So there's replay value with that because you press a button on your controller for the golf stick and it acts like a hoover, so it will hoover it up. But these are beautifully crafted worlds that these courses have been made in, and they've done a whole heap just literally in the last week. This massive DLC drop of tons of new courses, and this has a bit of a cult following for VR. It's one of the most bought games on VR. They just dropped a whole ton of new courses, including being able to play a golf course inside Wallace and Gromit's house and all of this stuff. So I'm probably going to end up at some point. I've got lots to extract from the existing courses, but I can see myself, spaffing some money on some courses.
That sounds like a season pass, season 1 for you, doesn't
it? What, X-Defiant style?
Yeah.
But that was enjoyable. And then the last one, which I'll talk about, it was dropped on to Game Pass, I think in the last 7 to 10 days of recording this. So Lonely Mountain, the Snow Riders edition. So you may have seen on Xbox for a long time now, they did a downhill mountain bike game. Well, they brought out their new one, which is all based on skiing. So I've been playing some of that. So it's a bit isometric. You try and get to the bottom of the course in time. And you have to do this whole risk-reward thing, similar to Trials, where you can either... You have a certain amount of restarts, which you'll get time penalties for. Or you can try and complete the course without doing any restarts, but then you find that you're in this weird thing where you're just going too slow. You have to risk crashing to beat those times. In essence, you've got about 4 or 5 different objectives for every level that you're on, whether that's completing the level in a certain time limit or avoiding a certain amount of crashes or doing a certain level of tricks on this. It's just a nice, enjoyable game you can pick up and play. I've enjoyed what I've played of it so far, and every level you rank up, you get new customizable cosmetics for your character and all of that jazz. But what I like about this compared to the mountain biking game is because it's snow based. Every time you do a restart, it keeps a record of where your last path was in the snow, so you can get an idea of where you want to keep going down, possibly change your route, do all of that stuff. Exactly. So a little bit like like a kind of isometric-y, weird angled version on skis of a game that I talked about I don't know how many episodes ago, Descenders, which was another mountain biking game in first person view that essentially is the same thing. Except this is not procedurally generated like Descenders was. But I enjoyed some of that. So you'll get to see a little bit of that gameplay footage because we've recorded already a little bit to extract this PlayStack segment to pop up as something just to give you a bit of fodder from the PlayStack because we don't really show you much from the PlayStack. So that's that. That's our PlayStack done. Yeah. That's the PlayStack done. Already, let's get into the meat and bones then, because we're 40 minutes already into this, and you got a hard stop, so let's get straight into the big elephant in the room. Let's talk, firstly, let's do the 2 big elephants in the room, the Switch 2, and also the fact that now we're having a divergence point for yourself on your main platform. So you've been a loyal Xbox subscriber for well over 11 years, I think. If you're
More
similar
than
to
that,
me.
actually. I switched over. I bought a PS2. Loved it, but just felt like I wanted something different at that point. And the Xbox had come out. Been out for about a year, I think, year and a half maybe.
Yeah.
And I went down to my local Blockbuster Video and found a bundle with Halo and Metal Gear Solid 2. So I
I
Blockbuster
thought you were
Video.
going to say Midtown Madness.
No, I'm not that mad. So I've been with them ever since. I like what they were doing. Power-wise, they were always, more powerful than the competition, except the Xbox One is where they dipped. And I've been very pleasantly surprised and happy with them for the longest time. They ushered in, they made having a hard drive in a console the norm. They made, because we were using memory cards up until Xbox came along. And then they also normalized online play. They normalized having an Ethernet port in a console. They normalized party chat. But they've also normalized them always being the underdog at their own stupid choices and decisions.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be an Xbox player in 2025. It really is. They lost most of their player base in the Xbox One during the Xbox One announcement with the whole always online and it being underpowered but costing $100 more than a PS4. And then obviously with the changing of the guard, the management, they just lost a lot of those studios. They were all expiring. They shut down a bunch of studios. I mean, they shut down Lionhead, for God's sake.
Yeah.
The Fable creators, for those that don't know. And so there's just been bad decision after bad decision, and Phil Spencer came back on board when, again, here we are on another episode. We say the name Don Matrick left or was fired. Who knows? The writing was on the wall.
Is he still at Zynga?
He's probably
Was he
tanked
at
it by
Zynga at
now.
one point?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's tanked it. Whatever he touches, he tanks, Anyway. So Phil Spencer came along. We all thought, okay, this has got to be it. He's going to turn the ship around. And, for the most part, he did in the beginning. He decoupled Kinect, got the price down to an acceptable price, reintroduced back compat when the old management says it was impossible, cleaned up a bunch of the dashboard issues that, we were having. Remember the original dashboard, how slow it was, how Windows 8 it was, everything was an app. You couldn't go to settings without going to another app. It was just horrible. Horrible. So he fixed a lot of that, and then Game Pass came along as this trial for the longest time. What was it, about a year and a half maybe, Game Pass was in trial with the same games, Gears of War, Halo, The More, the same, was it 5-6 games, and then Game Pass was the game changer. But I think where it started going downhill was after the Activision deal completed, Because on one hand, I get it. You spent a ton of money on Bethesda and Activision. You want to see a return on investment. But on the other hand, some analyst at Microsoft, some financial analyst who sets arbitrary numbers about where they should hit financially based on what it is they've spent, is basically dictating the games division.
Yeah.
You can't on one hand spend 8.5 billion on Bethesda and expect you to recoup that overnight. You can't spend 69 billion on Activision and expect to recoup that overnight. But their attempt to get that return on investment is to spread their games onto other platforms. Now, for some games, I understand it makes a lot of sense. Your free-to-plays, your multiplayers, things that keep the game alive. Things like Fortnite benefit from being on multiple platforms. For God's sake, if you can get it working on a fridge, then by all means do it. There's no harm in that whatsoever. But for your first-party exclusives, it's creating less and less of a reason to own an Xbox in 2025. The games being on more than one device is a plus. We're definitely going into that future, but Microsoft seems to have taken it too far, too fast, and I think they are basically reenacting some really aggressive changes like they did in the Xbox One era. We all know we're going digital, but to have an always-on connection, online connection requirement back then was just not realistic. And I think that we know that a lot of studios are shutting down. Money's a very big topic, especially today after COVID, after a lot of government change. I mean, 2025 or 2024 was the year of the most elections ever. They had like 68 elections worldwide or something like that. So, financially, everyone's uncertain. And I get that. And if you've already got games that no longer generate money, it makes sense from a business perspective to put them on other platforms such as PlayStation, Switch, and the PC and whatever else. But if you're going to do that, you have to backfill the reasons to own an Xbox for the people who have invested in the technology. Because what Microsoft have done by doing this is opened up their business to a wider audience. But for the people who paid the $500, for the people who stuck with them through the Xbox One debacle and the Red Ring of Death debacle and every other debacle there was with the massive Duke controller and whatever else, we're now getting bent over, simply put. We were told that it would never happen we're going to trial it with 4 games. In that same interview, Phil Spencer said, Indiana Jones and Starfield are not going to other platforms. He said that. It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't a hearsay. He was asked point blank by Tina Rimini, will these games go to other platforms? No, they will not. Now, at this point, Indiana Jones has already got a release window. And the slap in the face was it was announced alongside the Xbox release window with about a 3 to 5 month exclusivity. Let's call it 3 to 6. So we know in spring, about 3 months from now, it's going to be on PlayStation. Again, I get the business decision. I get it. But they have just killed their next console.
I think you're right. Yeah.
They're not going to affect anything currently, and they won't see the detriment now. So them reassessing every quarter, like, how did it do? Did we make more money because of this? Yes. Yeah, you're going to see this now. And just when you started gaining trust from people to buy into the Xbox ecosystem again, and you introduced the Series S, which was a cheaper, more affordable option, and more people bought that than the X. And then your hardcore audience bought an X and sided with you, even though you didn't do a mid-gen refresh because it wasn't really necessary after seeing what the PS5 Pro has done or hasn't done, depending on how you look at it. And then you go and do this all again. You got the first parties. That was a big issue. You were running out of games. You were underpowered. Back and Pat was missing. The always online thing was sorted out. You were doing everything that the community needed you to do. But again, because someone in the finance department said, we've spent so much money, we need to have this amount of money by this date, it's basically forced the Xbox division to spread their games to everything. And we can see examples of this because the latest set of rumors, and again, I'll stress that it's rumors at this point, but rumors that I'll heavily bank money on because I do see it happening. Halo Master Chief Collection is rumored to be coming to other platforms. What was the other one? Gears of War. I guarantee you there's going to be a Gears of War collection as you've wanted, but it'll be on all platforms. Heck, I'll even go as far as saying E-Day, the new one coming up, will be on all platforms as well. We watched a developer direct yesterday.
Oh, yes.
5 games were announced.
Yeah.
4 of the 5, day 1 PlayStation.
Yeah.
Day 1 PC. And in some cases, the Switch. In fact, the only one that wasn't on another platform was probably the one that people are the most, suspicious about, skeptical about. South of Midnight.
Yeah. Apparently, Sweet Baby's been involved in that one.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden 2, great. We got a shadow drop, fantastic. That'll be on other platforms.
Well, it's 50 quid already on PlayStation if you want to buy it.
There you go. Doom the Dark Ages, you own the studio, multiplat. Expedition 33, multiplat.
I honestly didn't see Expedition 33 being that. I thought that was going to be a timed exclusive. Nope.
Nothing.
Really shocked by that one.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before Starfield comes out. Love it or hate it, it's a prized possession that, they own. The Oblivion remake is going to be multiplat. The Fallout 3 remake will be multiplat. Fallout 5 will be multiplat. What does Xbox have that I can only get on Xbox? Because on one hand, you can't say people are not switching between ecosystems anymore because they've built up their friends lists and libraries when most people have all platforms. So if I jump ship, there's a few people that are not on my PlayStation friends list, but let's be honest, they're people that I don't really play with anyway. Once upon a time, we exchange gamer tags and that's it. They're just there. I don't really... You know what I mean? We've all got those friends. But the people I play with and people I care about the most, they are on there. And so I'm at this point now where I noticed for the last month, despite having Game Pass, I haven't bought anything in the sales. Usually every Tuesday I'll hop on, buy 1 or 2 cheap $10, $15, or if there's a really good deal or a bundle or something. I haven't done that for over a month now. I've had no urge to switch the console on. apart from one time where I couldn't use the TV where my PlayStation's hooked up to, so I played a bit of Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And I was playing Miles Morales, and I was like, you know what? This is a really great experience. So I said, you know what? Screw it. Picked up Spider-Man 2. Wow, this is even better. How is this possible? 3 for 3. And that same damn studio is making Wolverine. Call it a reskin, but I've got every ounce of faith that this is going to be a phenomenal game when it comes out. You know? Everything I'm playing on PlayStation, the UI is just snappy. It's fresh. It's modern. It's gorgeous. The ecosystem, all the devices, all the hardware, all the accessories have that same look and feel, the white and black. It all makes sense. It all mixes, it all matches. Yes, I'm not going to act like that I haven't criticized PlayStation for some of their shady business dealings in the past. Yes, that still exists. But PlayStation haven't deviated from what makes a PlayStation great.
Yeah.
They're known for their first-party big hitters, and they're still delivering those first-party big hitters. And that's what it's about. I can get Xbox games on PlayStation now and for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Microsoft has even put the nail in their own coffin. This is an Xbox. They are telling me I don't need their hardware to play games anymore. So Phil Spencer lied several times. Sarah Bond lied. Yeah. She told us there was hardware going to be announced at the end of 2024. What happened to that? Phil Spencer...
Well, that's it. It just evaporated.
They don't care about their next gen anymore, despite the fact they say they do. And in fact, I'm willing to make a bet that I don't think this decision came from them particularly. No. They wanted to go down the original roadmap of, we love our console players, we've got hardware coming out, Game Pass is still going to do this, this, and that. Someone above Phil's pay grade said, we can't do this.
No doubt.
Satcher and the CFO have said, we can't do this, and as a result of that, we're all going to suffer. And Microsoft are not going to see that through the earnings just yet. They're going to see that in 2026 when that new console drops, whatever it's called, Xbox Prime or whatever the hell. Because that literally is the name floating around right now, Xbox Prime.
Well, I'm sure Jeff Bezos will have his own opinions on that one.
but the irony, Prime streaming service, you know what I mean? And then CES, they announced that the Xbox app is coming to LG TVs because Samsung TVs had an exclusivity for a year or something. Okay, fine. But an LG TV streaming app is not a replacement for a dedicated console.
No.
They have...
Well, this is, you can do this stuff on GeForce Now. You could have done this stuff on Stadia until Google gave up the ghost.
Yeah. What am I getting? Even if you take the games away, what does a dedicated Xbox hardware, piece of hardware, what does that give me now?
It doesn't give you anything unless they come up with some brand new, totally revolutionizing way to play,
which I don't see happening.
System.
Which I don't see happening. No.
And it's not like they can do it in such a way because if they want to put stuff on third-party consoles, it's not like they can make the way you play it unique to Xbox.
Right.
The only way they could do it is if they were to release something like Dreams on the PS4, where they've got this new AI build your own game thing built into the hardware, like a ZX Spectrum or something like that.
They've really shot themselves in the foot because just like smartphones, we've also kind of reached this plateau in the console space as well. We've seen it with the PS5 Pro. The gains for the price to performance aren't there. We've seen it with the success of the Switch being so underpowered, even less power than an iPhone now. But the success, they actually just surpassed the PS2 sales, all-time sales of a console. It's beaten it. So power isn't everything. It's accessibility and affordability and the fact that I can play these games on the go, but it's a hybrid that plugs into a TV should I want to do that. That's everything. It's about convenience now. Microsoft are going to ask us for $599 or $699 in 2026. So besides giving their games away, besides showing that they don't care about their core audience who have stuck with them, and the audacity due to inflation and other factors, you want to ask us for even more money than the $500 sweet spot that we've come accustomed to, they've already lost. This handheld is not going to do anything. You can buy a Steam Deck right now, as you've said plenty of times. I can buy an Asus ROG. I can buy an MSI, I forget the name of it. There are plenty of substitutes out there.
I'm not even sure whether they're going to do a handheld, if I'm being honest. I think this is smoke and mirrors now.
It's going to be a UI for handheld makers. They're going to go completely
third party. You get the UI. You're a manufacturer. You get the exclusivity on the UI.
Yep.
Therefore, buy Lenovo over Asus type thing.
They're already doing it in the PC space. It's just an Xbox app with a couple of overlays, stream chat, and all this other stuff. And here's where it's going to get really bad for them, because this is going to show immediate success. Yes, there'll be more people buying games that they never wanted to before, having not bought an Xbox. I get that. There'll be an immediate revenue. But once those core people start leaving the Xbox console, those Game Pass subscription numbers start to come down even further than they already are. And we know that the business model for Game Pass isn't great. They're not making enough money. I don't know what the future of that holds, but this is going to be the nail in the coffin again, because people leave the console, then Microsoft have two choices. If they can somehow, and I don't see this happening, but if they can somehow convince Sony and Nintendo to allow Game Pass to be an app on their platforms, that'll probably save it, but I don't see that happening. They're going to have to default back into the old business model of selling a game at $70 each. And so they've lost their hardware, they've lost their audience, they've become third party through and through, and now they're back to selling games at $70. So then, putting on my future thinking hat, they'll then go into 2028 and beyond. They'll just become a third party publisher. Steam, Epic, Xbox. And no one's going to buy it. Everyone's got their libraries on Steam. No one even likes going to Epic. So where does Xbox think they can be?
So I have a question for you. What if Xbox's new console, if they were to release one, was to go, look, we still see there's a hesitancy between console gamers and PC gamers, and we see that there might be a narrow space for a device that has the flexibility and the real nice ease of use of a console, but actually you can now use this new device where it's been opened up. Not only can you get access to Xbox Game Studios Game Pass, you get access to the Steam app, you can get access to the Epic Game Store, and it's just essentially a PC but in a very easy to use console device form that has no back wiring to an operating system that you can use as a PC device. Would that be, because essentially that's what Steam Deck is, front-ended with Linux on the back.
I was just about to say, it exists today. So then my question becomes, well, why would I trust Microsoft over Steam? Steam's first foray into this hardware space, or second, depending if you want to look at that old console a few years back, is highly successful. They've identified the issues, they've got the store, they've got the hardware, and now they're working with game developers to optimize the games for the platform by making them Steam ready. And, setting presets, lower spec to make it the best it can possibly be for this hardware. What can Microsoft, based on their history, offer me as a consumer that Steam isn't already offering, and they've kind of been doing this for a few years now? At this point, I trust Steam more than I do Microsoft. They've gone back on everything. They're not very far behind Google at this point for canceling and making really bad business decisions. The only way to save this, I think, Xbox has to be spun off into a separate company. You cannot have Xbox under the Microsoft umbrella anymore.
Yeah.
Microsoft doesn't understand gaming. They understand business. They understand enterprise. They understand that if I give you a free PC, you're going to have Windows on every single one of them. They understand Office licenses. They understand Copilot. They understand Microsoft Edge. You know what I mean? They understand Azure, Active Directory, Outlook, Teams. Yeah. That's their foray. They've been very successful at that. And for decades, no one's been able to touch them. Stick to that.
Yeah.
But will they give it up? No. Why? Because there's money coming into the company. This is the problem. They're not going to let them go because it's too much money they've spent now, especially after Activision. But the problem is you've got people in the finance division at Microsoft putting enterprise level pressure onto a gaming division. It doesn't translate. Gaming has different targets, different demographics, different wants, needs, and otherwise. It does not make sense anymore. Xbox needs to be spun off into its own company.
Yeah.
With its own targets and own destiny. And I suppose
there was a news story about 2021 where they nearly shut the whole thing down.
There was, and that's why they started buying studios again. So what is this? Just buyer's remorse? We spent so much money, we're not going to...
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. So, and I suppose, unless you've got anything to add to this, this is probably a good segue into why I've switched over to PS5 and actually gotten a PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just had great experiences on the PlayStation, finishing game after game over Christmas and New Year, and I was like, I don't want to pick up that pad anymore. I really like what I'm doing over here. It just felt really good and really solid, and it was just a really nice resurgence. I don't know what, something just clicked. Started buying a few games, looking through the old library that I've accumulated. Signed up to PSN again, getting my free games. I'm like, okay, I'm actually really starting to buy into this now. Got the screen sharing you and me messed around with for a few times.
Yeah.
It was great. It's great. It takes a little bit getting used to that dashboard, but it's new. It's fun. It does what I need it to do. So reason why I got a PS5 Pro, despite saying that the performance games are really negligible.
Yeah.
My base PS5 died.
Yeah.
So I turned it on one day and just black screen, and I couldn't figure out why. I tried it on a bunch of TVs, and I just wasn't getting anywhere with it. So I said, well, hell, if I've got to buy another PlayStation, I might as well get the Pro and see what this is all about, having a podcast, loving gaming as much as I do, and GTA 6 round the corner. I don't like it, but to hell with it, I'll do it. Now, on the downside, I haven't really noticed much of a difference, if I'm honest with you.
Well, do you know, one of the things that I thought might cling you or anchor you to Xbox was the years and years and years that you put into building up your gamer score.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe, that would be the one thing. But it's obviously got so bad that even something like that, and you play games differently to other people in terms of you do have that enjoyment of completing games 100% and perhaps in ways other people don't.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can walk away from that and say, look, this is and I know you still got an Xbox now, but we're traveling several years into the future when you go onto that new hardware. Where do you see yourself now? Because I'm seeing the way I look at this is for Microsoft is a huge gamble, because if I was to look at my behavioral habits, if I'd not been playing Xbox on multiple different platforms, and that's playing it inside my VR headset, either playing it on the direct. Sometimes I've got so many Xbox controllers because they release them all the time. I've even got an Xbox controller dedicated to my Mac for playing even just at desktop streaming whilst I'm on the Mac, even though I've got an Xbox Series S at the same location. But do you see yourself as now a bit of a dipper in terms of, because if you look at what we've got coming up in the next 5 months on Game Pass, we've got the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black or whatever it came out, the remaster as of yesterday. We've got Sniper Elite coming out. We've got Avowed, AtomFall, Expedition 33, South of Midnight, and Doom, the Dark Ages. Where do you see yourself now with that? Because there's this whole thing of having a rolling subscription and not extracting the value from it.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I let a couple of them build up, execute, turning the subscription off and then turning it back on and saying, look, this month I want to attack, couple of heavy hitter AAA titles here, then I'll roll off it again.
Yeah,
or are you just going to keep it rolling anyway?
So I think several years into the future, I think that's exactly what it's going to be, a dip in, dip out type of service. Because for $20, if I can, play, for example, I don't know, whatever the equivalent of Doom the Dark Ages, Avowed, and maybe the next Halo will be, or Gears of War, it's absolutely worth the value. Even if I have to stay for 2 months, that's $40 for 4 games at $70 each. Or who knows, $80 by that time, who knows?
Yeah.
But today, the transition's a little bit different, right? So I've got most of my library on Xbox.
Yeah.
I've got 5 terabytes of hard drive space all connected and built up. So I've got a lot of backlog.
Yeah.
The difference is I've stopped those little purchases of these indie games here and there, which add to it. So my plan is, obviously, when the next gen of consoles release, my Series X is not going to stop working. I'm still going to be using it and play, all of those games. Still play Alan Wake 2 on it, but I haven't got it, but I'll play that on PS5 Pro. But all of those games that I've built up, I'll slowly get through them as much as I can to the best of my ability. And then once I get to a point where the stuff that I've actually purchased and own has been depleted, then I'll say to myself, okay, got to make a choice here. Switch it off for now. let a couple of games build up, switch it on, or wait for something to build up. As of today, what's the next game we've got coming out? Avowed. So my plan is finish off Spider-Man 2. Should be in time for Avowed. Huge Obsidian fan. I think they do amazing work. I'm pretty sure I'm going to love that game. Already got Game Pass, so let's get in there, finish it off, get out, and then maybe finish off Death Stranding in the meantime as I dip in and out of that as well. So it's going to be a very hard task to kind of juggle. But essentially, the money has moved from spending on Xbox to spending on PlayStation. So that library will start building up, while the Xbox library will start building down, essentially. It's going to be a daily thing. If a game comes out and it's only on Xbox, fantastic. I'll hop on, get online, throw the headset on. We'll have great fun,
Yeah.
But I just don't see the business lasting much longer.
Yeah. No, it's a not play because there's only a certain amount of time that everyone has.
Yeah. That too.
And this is, I look at my Game Pass subscription sometimes, based on the amount of time I got to play and go, oh, have I really got my money's worth this month?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I got 600 games I own.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And I suppose this is, again, a good segue into what Nintendo's doing, right? I'm just looking at
Let's talk Nintendo, yeah.
Let's do that, because we've got the Switch 2 on the horizon. It's been officially announced now. We got the trailer that clearly Nintendo was forced to put out. I mean, they didn't even put a 4K trailer up, for God's sake. I don't know what it is about Japanese gaming companies. Every time they release a trailer for a game or hardware, it's always 1080.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And they got these really low-res Mario Kart footage. Anyway, it's a different story.
It is low-res, yeah.
Switch 2. When I think about Xbox and PlayStation, I'm the most excited about Switch 2. Switch was always underpowered. This is an area where hardware would definitely, serve a great purpose and bring that, more realistic console experience into the house, especially if I can play it at my fingertips and then dock it. I've got a sneaky feeling, not now, but maybe the next Switch, Switch 3 or Switch 4, it's going to be on par with what we've got now, or close to it, or close enough that I won't need a PlayStation. Well, I'll need a PlayStation because I've got those first party, but I won't even need an Xbox at that point.
Yeah.
The Switch will be my Xbox that I can play handheld and docked.
Yeah.
The Switch is really, PlayStation's got something going for it with their first party lineup, but Xbox don't have really much going for it. They're going to put Halo on it, Ninja Gaiden on it, all this other stuff on it, so be it. The Switch trailer didn't really tell us much that we didn't already know, apart from a release date and the fact that it confirms backwards compat, but even that was leaked. So hardware, the leaks were 100% correct. There's one thing that still remains a bit ambiguous, the extra button. Some people are calling it the C button. Some YouTubers have suggested they've purposely left the C off because they want to explain it in the full reveal on April 2nd. The optical sensor, which was weird at first, but makes complete sense when I look at it. It's a mouse optical sensor. You throw your Joy-Con sideways onto a desk. A lot of people have said that, Switch, you don't really play at a desk, but you can play at a desk. So there's...
Well, they've in handheld mode, they've now adjusted the bracket or the stand.
Yep, to be flatter.
That you can now play it in almost a tablet type of,
Exactly.
So
if you can get Anno 1800 working on that, that's a bit of an ask, then you can play Anno. But I tell you exactly what that's for. You ready?
What's it, a new WarioWare game?
No. Diablo 4. That's exactly what that's for.
Yeah.
Yep. Diablo 4 is going to be most likely a launch title for the Switch too. And you've got the mouse opticals for it. But the thing I find most interesting is that there's an optical in both Joy-Con. Now, I doubt they would spend the extra money to accommodate just left-handed people.
Yeah.
I got a funny feeling there might be some weird 1-2 switch type games that might be released on launch that, you might need two mice to, there'll be some weird stuff that only Nintendo would think of. The IR sensors in both controllers now, not just on the right one. It looks like, because they had emphasis in the video as well, the thumbsticks kind of rotating a little bit. A lot are saying that they've got these new Hall effect thumbsticks, and we all know that the Switch had a massive stick drift issue. So the fact that they spent a few seconds displaying that in the trailer gives hope and credence to the fact that they may have changed it to a Hall effect to avert that. Obviously, the system in itself is just bigger overall. It looks like it's about 8 inches of screen. Obviously, if the screen increases, the Joy-Con will increase, which means the larger buttons look like they've got more travel. Great for normal-sized hands.
That's great. Well, I'm going to get arthritis from trying to play Mario Kart, and it was just a horribly painful experience.
Well, and funny thing is, you were there day one when I got my Switch, and we had to share the Joy-Cons sideways, right?
Yeah.
Those shoulder buttons were killer.
Oh, awful. Yeah,
trying to do the boost slides on Mario Kart with those little itty bitty buttons were just a pain in the ass. So
even with the covers on,
even with the covers on, and those covers didn't do jack.
No,
let's be honest. So they're magnetic now, which means that those shoulder buttons have a little magnet part that kind of slots nicely into the Switch, giving it a good 1/2 inch of width, which is welcomed. SD Express card for faster loading. We don't know, obviously, how much the internal storage is. We don't know what the battery life is. Some are suspecting that it's going to be a 1080p screen. Digital Foundry seems to think they'll keep the 720. I personally don't want a bigger screen if it's 720. It's got to be 1080 at this point. The motherboard's leaked. We know for certain it's going to be an NVIDIA T239, which is a hell of a chip. And obviously being NVIDIA, DLSS.
Ampere as well, isn't it?
Ampere architecture, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a joke. It's equivalent to the 30 series GeForce. But DLSS, we finally get access to DLSS with this. So that's a huge deal. We know that backwards compatibility is going to work across both. I think that was a no-brainer. Biggest selling console of all time. Why not? Big libraries, of course. So they did kind of caveat it with certain games won't work. Obviously, like 1-2 Switch, probably the Joy-Cons are a little bit different. They won't work and certain things like that. But they've obviously confirmed Mario Kart 9. We didn't get a brand new Mario Kart for the Switch. We just got a deluxe version, which worked. But it's been time. So I think Mario Kart 9 is definitely going to be a launch title. I got a sneaky feeling Metroid Prime 4 will arrive shortly after launch. I want to say within 6 months. Diablo 4 is going to be a launch title. And if you remember back to the original Switch trailer, there was a guy on a plane playing in tabletop mode, playing Skyrim. And we're like, wait, this thing plays Skyrim? Wouldn't it be nice if the Oblivion remaster or remake gets announced that way? So I'm excited. I think we're gonna get, price tag will go up though. I think it will be around, I want to believe it's going to be around $400. Well, that's what I think. The Switch was $299, $300. I want to say it's going to be $399, but today's economy, I wouldn't be surprised if
$429 maybe.
$450-ish to $500 even, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Regardless, I'm getting one.
Oh, same.
Day one.
100% getting one, and I'm super excited about the video that I put up that you can check out as well if you want to, but we're redoubling down on a couple of my thoughts here. You just look at it on the surface. This is a great opportunity for third-party publishers to, say, look, what was in our PS4 arsenal that we can redeliver, with DLSS or some of these games that they can. No, we're looking hardware-wise. I think we're confident to deliver PS4 base minimum visuals with all of the added extra gravitas. So you could see a lot of those games that did really well on that platform, with possibly being the best way if you want to go back and play them again, or if you missed them. I genuinely think that the Switch 2 is going to be the last console physically for game collectors that is going to have such an expansive library come the end of its cycle. It's going to be the golden age for physical game collectors. The new golden age is very eloquent to be said right now, but it could be the very last. And you look at it, we know we're going digital. This is the last console for physical game collectors, I think. And it could be one of the most interesting machines to collect for if you are a bit of a game collector. And we know that whilst there is backwards compatibility for Switch original carts, they've said that not all of them are going to be. Just a word to the wise, if you find any Switch games that aren't compatible for Switch 2, go out and buy them, because their value will go up if that's the case. So, I think it's going to be a plethora.
What does your launch window look like?
So, I obviously having a new Mario Kart there. I've not seen enough from that trailer, and I really hope that it was just a low-res render of what the final graphics of Mario Kart 9 is. I know that they selectively used the desert level, so they could probably get away with not showing us all of the fidelity, because it was a bit hazy in places. It never really showed you
Texture was
exactly
a bit basic,
what it had to offer.
Yeah.
It was, but there's some, possibilities in there that may indicate that the tracks might be a little bit larger. I think Mario Kart really deserves a bit of a shift, and we could see... And I've not seen too many people talk about this. No one, actually, to my knowledge. You look at Lego 2K Drive, open world, idea was kind of thingied from Forza Horizon. I wonder what would happen if Mario Kart was to play around with something like that. And we've not seen enough of it to say that's not going to be the case. But they could do something, even Donkey Kong, remember Diddy Kong Racing style,
N64.
where you've got a partial open world. They need to do something. This has to be the Mario Kart now, where they've got to deviate from the current path. And if they get rid of the flying stuff, if they get rid of the motorbikes, fair enough. If they want to take it back to ATVs and just karts, I'll be happy with that. But give us something new. I'd love to play a Mario Kart where you've got to find 100 hidden objects scattered throughout the land and all these other things that you can do again. That would be nice. In terms of that launch roster, first party wise, I'd like to see... It's not going to happen on launch, but I would obviously like to see a follow-up to Odyssey. 100%. Those 3D based Mario games, I lean towards more than 2D side of things. And then there's the whole plethora of games that never find their way on PS5. JRPG side of things. Even if you look at things like Professor Layton, that type of series, just there's little things in there that you go to that Nintendo platform, you just can't get anywhere else. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm not going to be playing third-party games I can get on other platforms on a Switch 2. I'm looking specifically for that I know of, unless they're going to give us some USP to play it on their platform.
Oblivion comes out tomorrow, remake. Unreal Engine 5, the Xbox and the PlayStation will run it best.
Yeah.
But you can play this in bed.
Well, I could play, but then I'll be able to play it on my Steam Deck anyway, because I can stream Xbox Cloud.
You know what I mean. It'll get to a point where it will be fidelity versus convenience. I think that's where the battle is. Yeah. If I can play this in the car, on the train, on the couch, I don't have to be physically at a desk or something. I, despite being underpowered, the first Switch really got me because I don't know if you remember, I cancelled my pre-order because I was like, it's a 720 screen. Then the battery life came out for 3 hours. I was like, this is not really going to be my cup of tea. I know what it's going to be like. It's going to be like my Wii. It's going to sit there after a couple of months and collect dust. So I cancelled my pre-order, lost my allocation. But then the Zelda reviews came out for Breath of the Wild. And every single outlet gave it a 10 out of 10, high 90s, like 95, 98%. And I was like, crap, have I made a mistake? I don't think a Zelda's gotten that high before. This has got to be something. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I found a guy who was selling one because he ordered from 2 places, depending on which one would arrive first. And I got it for retail price. Yeah. So I literally drove 20 minutes to this guy's house and bought it day one. And where it clicked for me was playing Zelda in bed. I was laying up against my pillow. I was like, holy crap, but this is it. This is the future. And then, of course, being a huge fighting fan, Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out, and I'm playing online in bed. Not the best game to play when you're trying to relax, but it could be done. And that's where it started clicking for me. And I was like, okay, 3-hour battery life, not the best, but I'm not going to play in more than 3 hour spurts at any given time, because I'm either going to need to go to the toilet or have a bite to eat, at which point I'll throw it on the charger. So it wasn't that bad. Now, saying that, I hope the battery life's bigger. Why not? It's not about...
Yes.
Not just about the gaming spurts. It's about, I don't have access to a charger right now. I'm on a plane. Those are some scenarios where it would definitely benefit us. But my only other thing I'll add to this is that I really hope, and I've got a good feeling that it'll happen, Nintendo finally do online properly. Finally,
yes. Give us handles, please.
give us gamer tag handles. Let me see what my friends are playing. Let me send a voice chat invite. Let's make it modern. I don't want to plug anything into my phone. I want to plug in my headphones to the Switch or wireless buds. Right? We've got Bluetooth 5.2 now. It's not a far fetch. We've been doing this on iPhone for God knows how many years. You know? Give me that.
Yeah.
I wanna send invitations. I want achievements. Call it what you want.
Yes.
Give me something to rope me in. These are easy.
And not just achievements you can only get in a standalone game.
No, global.
It has to be something that is global to your profile.
Exactly. Yeah. Give me a proper thing. You can Nintendo the crap out of it. Make it all Mario themed, coins, mushrooms, flowers, star powers, all that stuff. Do what you do best. And give me those first party experiences. Give me those weird things. There was one of my favorite games on the Switch, and I completely forget the name of it. It's Toad, right? It's an isometric puzzle platformer thing where you've got to, find 3 of these. I don't know what it was. I forgot the name of it. Toad's something.
Yeah. Was it not the Wii U? Was it not a redo of a Wii U game? I can't remember.
I think you may be right. Oh, Toad's Treasure Tracker.
Yeah.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. That was it. I don't know why that game I was hooked on it. My God. And obviously Tropical Freeze came out. Hard as hell. Great game though. So I want this. I've missed it. My Switch is broken.
There's some great stuff. I mean, you go back now, and I did buy, obviously, a 3DS. And I even bought a GBA. Just to, I want to complete the historical. But you try and play these things now. Like, I really regret not getting a 3DS XL because the screens are just too small. And I'm just like, I know Nintendo has a ability of reselling us stuff that we bought in the past. But now the screen size is at a size where, look, if you want to, do a new build on a Pilot Wings game, I ain't going to stop you.
No, and that's exactly it. They can either do what, Sony do, and that's sell us a $10 upgrade. But I think it looks, because they mentioned back compat, so it looks like they're finally going to do right by the customers and not make us buy everything again, which is the first positive step. But at the same time as well, we have been seeing for a few years games start to deteriorate. Tears of the Kingdom being a perfect example. There are points in Tears of the Kingdom where we drop to like 15 frames a second when there's like really some big high octane action going on. So I definitely think Tears of the Kingdom's going to get a next gen update on day one. That'll be one of the selling points, especially if the library of first party games isn't quite ready yet. You're going to throw those upgrade patches like crazy. I think we'll see the usual slew. Fortnite, that's going to be on their day one. It has to be on their day one, to be honest. That thing alone will sell units. Trying to think what else we got. Mario, you've covered. I think Metroid Prime 4, we're close to finally getting that. That got announced year 1 of the first Switch. And then got canned and remade again. So, do stuff that we haven't seen before. Give us stuff that the Switch one lacked. And for God's sake, give us DLSS. I want to play Cyberpunk on my Switch too.
Yeah. Do you?
I kind of do.
Would you play it again? Yeah?
I mean, I still got the DLC I haven't played, which is apparently better than the base game. So I don't know if it's good enough. If I can't see the pixels and the textures don't look all washed out like an N64, I'll do it.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Fair enough. Well, that kind of wraps up our talk on the new Switch. I'm going to be buying it, irrespective. So expect us to talk about it when it does launch. Some are stating that it could come as early as June of this year. We'll see. Bit of an odd time to release a console, but are they gonna tease us all the way over to November? I hope they don't.
I hope not, but I got a feeling they're gonna.
Hopefully not. You never know. We'll see. We've got a couple of gaming news stories before we go. We're going to rattle through these relatively quickly. First off, if you are a big game collector on Xbox, you'll be very pleased to know that. I mean, this is the state of the Xbox news at the moment. We've got chunky game collectors rejoice because Xbox are going to expand their storage compatibility. Basically, Xbox is enabling support for external USB drives larger than 16 terabytes. Now, I don't know too many people who's got 16 terabytes kicking around for their game collection. But if you want it all installed, I'm pretty sure I can get my whole collection on there for, something slightly bigger than a 16 terabyte. But it's so quick with broadband speeds now.
Yeah.
It's not too much of a problem for me.
It's a welcome change, but I don't think it really needed an Xbox Wire post to promote this, to be honest with you, if I'm being completely honest, you know what I mean?
Probably not.
But when you read the patch notes, right, it's really interesting. Drives greater than 16 terabytes will be formatted into multiple partitions. So if you've got a 32 terabyte drive, it will split it into 16 and 16. It will show up as 2 drives on your dashboard and storage menu.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 64 terabyte, you got one of those old... Your dad comes home with an old server hard drive. You're like, yeah, I'm going to repurpose this sucker. Well, there you go. There's something there for everyone.
Yeah, and they're also going to be upgrading the cloud streaming services to 4K. Now, I'm all for that because I do leverage that cloud streaming. They're working on it. They've not said when they're going to be bringing this out, but as far as I'm aware, Xbox have tampered down their streaming quality for better results in terms of input delay versus what you technically can get if you stream your PlayStation games. You technically do get better fidelity, but there is an input lag to kind of have to a bit of a trade-off. So they're looking for some way to get around that, give you 4K without those compromises. So I'm looking forward to that if that is the case, especially playing, which I had this weird experience when I played the DLC for Starfield, that I was getting a better experience off the cloud servers than I were on the actual game downloaded on my console, which is really strange. There could be some benefits that might come with that.
Well, I'll just touch on this by saying it's already kind of leaked that the next Xbox controller for the next console, I think they've confirmed that it's going to connect directly to the internet instead of going to the console. So if anything, this picture will be streaming over the internet to your screen through the console or whatever device you're on.
Yeah.
But your controller will connect via 802.11n, your Wi-Fi. So it bypasses all of that, goes straight to the internet, cutting latency dramatically, which Google Stadia did many years ago.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what emerges in reference to that. We obviously mentioned earlier that Xbox was nearly wound down in 2021, so we don't really need to brush upon that. So we'll just literally give you a little bit of news. So if you are someone who is very hesitant, now we believe that later this year, personally, that we're going to get a Square Enix announcement on Final Fantasy games, more from the plethora potentially finding its way onto Xbox. But if you can't wait and you've got a Steam Deck, Final Fantasy Rebirth is now full Steam Deck compatibility. This thing runs without you having to do any Proton workarounds. It runs out of the box, really simplistically, on the Steam Deck OLED. So if you are interested in perhaps not giving yourself into getting a PlayStation console, you can play Rebirth on a Steam Deck. So I've already got Rebirth, and I'm not sure when I'm going to play it because I haven't even finished Retrograde yet. So
there you go.
Goodness knows when I'm going to get round to that. But I know it's the better of the two games, and part of me wants to... Well, I don't know.
There you are. See, you're going towards PlayStation as well.
I could watch the first game. Because the second one looks so much more fun, but, second part of it anyway. I wonder when we'll get the final part from that.
I think probably we're still 2 years away from an announcement.
Yeah,
if anything.
probably.
Retribution. They've got to complete it with the R's, Final Fantasy VII. Retribution.
So, yeah. The thing that's kind of holding me to PlayStation at the moment is a free-to-play game in Infinity Nikki.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I've really enjoyed what I did play of that, and I've played a tiny bit of it over Christmas, not enough to include it here on the PlayStack. But with these live service games, I mean, the commitment level, you need to stay updated with everything. It's like people that play Destiny 2. It's something's happening every single bloody day. Sometimes you got to log in 2 hours, do a couple of hours on it every night.
I'll give you one better. Remember, you and me used to be heavily into Pokemon Go at one point.
Yeah.
Right, I unsubscribed from all those YouTube channels a while back. One of them crept up onto my newsfeed the other day. I was like, God, this guy's growing. Let me have a look and see what's going on now. It's thriving. They got Japan meetups. They're doing special trades. The amount of rare... It's become the game it should have been, 8 years ago? But my God, it's still going. It's exactly the same.
There's still people up my high street every weekend. A group of people get together. Raiding.
Yeah.
You know, it's given some people that are maybe socially awkward a lease of...
Yeah.
You know,
they can be physically present and awkward next to someone else without speaking to them.
I tried getting back into it about a year. It piqued my interest for a month, and then I just gave up on it again.
I wouldn't mind getting back into it, but COVID killed it for me because we couldn't go out, despite them increasing the ranges. Like you could do raids from home, remote raids they called them.
Yeah.
But they dramatically reduced the rewards and what you can get, so it was kind of pointless. But I mean, they've got like 3 new generations that have been announced since we, stopped playing.
Exactly. It would just be, exactly. It's just not really worth
it. Shits and giggles, I might just for a day.
You might really?
I'll see how much has changed,
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, there we go. I think that pretty much. Let me just do a double back around. I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can always revisit that 16 terabyte conversation.
I think we need to revisit 16 terabyte. We're going to have a little think in terms of, because we're obviously having this divergence in terms of primary consoles and all of that jazz. In terms of when it comes to episode 19, I guess we'll see where the land lies in terms of our featured game. It might end up being, some games that... I know we started off very multiplayer-centric. I'd like to be able to get back on the multiplayer. I think it's a better conversation, but we'll see where the land lie goes with that. But I do want to give, when it comes out for PS5, because Hypercharge is finally going to get a PS5 release, I'd love to circle back round on that, although I did already buy it on Xbox, so I don't know if I want to buy it twice.
You're supporting the developers, unless they introduce crossplay.
Yes, that would help, and it would save us save me 25 quid.
I need to do some more multiplayer gaming on the PS5. I don't do any. That's normally my Xbox, but that's got to change.
Well, we've never ever played a multiplayer game on PS5 together.
I don't even think I've got a multiplayer game, to be honest. All those single players.
Well, I've got Helldivers too. I bought that during Christmas. Yes. So if you want to give that a dunk at some point.
I completely forgot.
Before the servers are completely dead.
It's on my wish list, so next time it drops in price, like half, because it was like 20 the other day. Shit, I should have bought it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it.
Okie doke. Right, anyway, internal discussions there. We shall catch you guys in a few weeks for episode 19. And keep yourself lock and loaded to our main channels, because no doubt there'll probably be some ad hoc videos here and there. We might throw some stuff up if there's some big developments in between. Why should you have to wait for the most breaking of moments in this interesting time to circle in the games industry? I've been Nomad.
And I've been Shady.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.